Researchers at UT Tyler are hoping to get some answers regarding Alzheimer's and dementia. KLTV's J.D. Conti reports they're looking into how the disease affects African Americans at a disproportionate rate.
According to the Alzheimer's Association, older African Americans are twice as likely to develop memory-related diseases like Alzheimer's when compared to white Americans. Science does not currently have a clear reason why. That's why Latavius Boone, a graduate research assistant at UT Tyler, is here at the Texas African American Museum, signing up area residents for memory screenings. It's one of many similar events he and his coworkers conduct in an attempt to help more Texans and diversify their research data.
We help a variety of people. That's why I'm kind of here, just to try to diversify the group over there, the community, get more black people in the community as well as, different minorities.
Although there is not definite research as to why black Americans are more susceptible to Alzheimer's, Michael Barnett, the director of the Memory Assessment and Research Center at UT Tyler, says the stresses black Americans face may contribute, making them more vulnerable to the disease.
Stress, mental health issues, health problems make you more likely to develop negative consequences with age. Aging just kind of takes our vulnerabilities and, makes them bigger.
The center's work is focused on early detection and evaluations. They are currently piloting an app that can help tell if a person might be susceptible to scams and other factors of cognitive decline. They also employ virtual reality to help test a person's abilities.
If you want to know if somebody can cook safely, put them in a virtual kitchen. If you want to know if they can shop, put them in a virtual grocery store.
J.D. Conti, KLTV 7 News.
To learn more about the center's efforts, scan the QR code on your screen to check out the link, or you can go to kltv.com and click on the big red box.